Daily Words of God. That which involves visions primarily refers to the work of God Himself, and that which involves practice should be done by man and bears no relation to God. The work of God is completed by God Himself, and the practice of man is achieved by man himself. That which should be done by God Himself does not need to be done by man, and that which should be practiced by man is unrelated to God. The work of God is His own ministry and has no relation to man. This work does not need to be done by man, and furthermore, man would be incapable of doing the work to be done by God. That which man is required to practice must be accomplished by man, whether it be the sacrifice of his life or the delivery of him over to Satan to stand testimony. These must all be accomplished by man. God Himself completes all the work that He is supposed to, and that which man should do is shown to man, and the remaining work is left to man. God does not do additional work. He does only the work that is within His ministry, and only shows man the way, and only does the work of opening the way, and does not do the work of paving the way. This should be understood by man. Putting the truth into practice means putting the words of God into practice. And all this is the duty of man, is that which should be done by man, and has nothing to do with God. If man demands that God also suffer torment and refinement in the truth, in the same way as man, then man is being disobedient. God's work is to perform His ministry, and the duty of man is to obey all of God's guidance without any resistance. That which man must attain, he is behooved to accomplish, regardless of the manner in which God works or lives. Only God Himself can make requirements of man, which is to say, only God Himself is fit to make requirements of man. Man should not have any choice, should do nothing but fully submit and practice. This is the sense that should be possessed by man. Once the work that should be done by God Himself is completed, man is required to experience it, step by step. If, in the end, when all of God's management has been completed, man has still not done that which is required by God, then man should be punished. If man does not fulfill the requirements of God, then this is due to the disobedience of man. It does not mean that God has not been thorough enough in His work. All those who cannot put God's words into practice, those who cannot fulfill God's requirements, and those who cannot give their loyalty and fulfill their duty, they will all be punished. Today, what you are required to achieve are not additional demands, but the duty of man, and that which should be done by all people. If you are incapable of even doing your duty, or of doing it well, then are you not bringing troubles upon yourselves? Are you not courting death? How could you still expect future and prospects? The work of God is for the sake of mankind, and the cooperation of man is for the sake of God's management. After God has done all that he is supposed to do, man is required to be unstinting in his practice and to cooperate with God. In the work of God, man should spare no effort, should offer up his loyalty, and should not indulge in numerous conceptions or sit passively and await death. God can sacrifice himself for man, so why can man not offer his loyalty to God? God is of one heart and mind toward man, so why can man not offer a little cooperation? God works for mankind, so why can man not perform some of his duty for the sake of God's management? God's work has come this far, yet you still see but do not act. You hear but do not move. Are not such people the objects of perdition? God has already devoted his all to man. So why, today, is man incapable of earnestly performing his duty? For God, his work is his first priority, and the work of his management is of the utmost importance. For man, putting God's words into practice and fulfilling God's requirements are his first priority. This you should all understand. The words spoken to you have reached the very core of your essence, and God's work has entered unprecedented territory. Many people still do not understand the truth or falsehood of this way. They are still waiting and seeing, and not performing their duty. Instead, they examine every word and action by God. They focus on what he eats and wears, and their conceptions become ever more grievous. Are such people not making a fuss about nothing? How could such people be those who seek God? And how could they be those who intentionally submit to God? They put their loyalty and duty to the back of their minds, and instead concentrate on the whereabouts of God. They are an outrage. If man has understood all that he is supposed to understand, and has put into practice all that he is supposed to put into practice, then God will surely bestow his blessings upon man. For that which he requires of man is the duty of man, and that which should be done by man. If man is incapable of comprehending what he is supposed to understand, and is incapable of putting into practice what he should put into practice, then man will be punished. Those who do not cooperate with God are an enmity to God. Those who do not accept the new work are opposed to it, even though such people do nothing that is obviously in opposition to it. All those who do not put into practice the truth required by God are people who deliberately oppose and are disobedient toward the words of God, even if such people pay special attention to the work of the Holy Spirit. People who do not obey God's words and submit to God are rebellious and in opposition to God. People who do not perform their duty are those who do not cooperate with God, and people who do not cooperate with God are those who do not accept the work of the Holy Spirit.